Army develops real-life Star Trek tech to build defenses on the front line with 3D printer. While the Ministry of Defense engages the Treasury in a bloody battle over resources, military scientists are perfecting a technology that could save billions of pounds a year: 3D printing. The first step to the kind of Star Trek replicators which allow the crew of the USS Enterprise to produce spare parts, food and even clothing at the touch of a button. 3D printing is the process by which solid objects can be created using digital data. And last night Defense Minister Harriet Baldwin confirmed Britain was well underway to turning concepts into reality to ensure we stay at the cutting edge of military capability. She added, "3D printing is just one example of how tech can bring a real boost to troops on the front line. An £800 million investment boost will eventually develop the ability to create battlefront spares and even emergency antidotes against WMD, but the revolution is already underway." Crew aboard the Royal Navy's ice patrol ship HMS Protector have already used a 3D printed drone to help it navigate its way through the thick ice. Piloted via a laptop, it costs just £7,000. Cheaper than even a single hour's flying time by helicopter. Previously the Royal Navy was forced to rely on images provided by commercial frigates. Next year the Royal Navy is commissioning 2 innovation workshops, complete with 3D printers, which will allow service personnel and staff to begin developing prototype ideas. But designers are already working to develop battlefield variants. Mobile mini-factories capable of producing spares and repairs on the front line. Areas of research, say MOD sources, include logistics, in-field repair, reducing equipment development times and enhancing the performance and functionality of defense components across all environments. Bristol-based HIETA Technologies is already embarked on examining how 3D printing can increase the survivability of military vehicles using a combination of engineering and 3D printing. At the heart of the project will be ability to manufacture spare parts for aircraft, or battle-damaged vehicles in theater. Not only will this mean having them quickly, but it promises to save the MOD millions in logistics. No longer will parts have to be bought or retrieved from costly warehouses and shipped across the world. This matters. It takes 6 men to support every soldier deployed in the field. Every pound of food, water, fuel, ammunition and clothing requires planes and lorries to transport it, other soldiers to escort them, bases to home them, and this in turn requires more food, lorries and other supplies in what is called a pyramid of escalating need and supply. Britain spent more than £6 billion on so-called urgent operational requirements for Afghanistan, to plug vital capability gaps which were only discovered once in theater. These ranged from new and improved boots, weapons and body armor to Foxhound armored vehicles. In many cases, 3D technology would have alleviated delays and driven down costs. The Ministry of Defense has committed 1.2% of its £36 billion budget into cutting-edge science and technology, of which 3D printing plays a big part. That money is boosted by a £800 million innovation fund. Research is being spearheaded by the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, BET, and partner organizations. However, MOD scientists are playing a key role in ensuring that the government's high-value manufacturing strategy incorporates defense needs. Other nations are ahead, of course. The US, on the cusp of developing food replicators, and China, which already uses 3D printing to create spare parts for its fighter jets, are engaged in a mighty titanic race to perfect the technology. But last night one of Britain's foremost experts said Britain had the potential to make important strides. Professor Lee Cronin, Regius Chair of Chemistry in the School of Chemistry at the University of Glasgow, is helping the MOD in its research. He first caught the eye of military chiefs in 2011, after a speech in which he said he could use the technology to manufacture pharmaceuticals. After my TED talk, a little chap came up to me, flanked by bodyguards. He looked at me and said, "I want one of those in theater." It turned out that he NATO Supreme Commander James Stavridis. He wanted the ability to make antidotes to potential WMDs in theater, said Professor Cronin, who, in 2014, was recognized as one of the UK's top 10 inspiring sciences and engineers. 3D printing is the first step to what we call a universal metal fabricator, like the replicator on Star Trek. In my laboratory I print plastic parts to hold bespoke experiments. It would take too long to manufacture them, and be too expensive because they aren't manufactured in bulk. What 3D printing allows you to do is to get rid of the need of an economy of scale. He said that the mod is already capable of 3D printing static parts for a Typhoon fighter jet, a fact sources confirmed, though they are still at the testing stage to ensure that any parts manufactured for use in our systems maintain the high levels of safety expected. It isn't just about cost, it's about flexibility, said Professor Cronin. If you have to move all your spare parts around, it means fuel costs and time. Making them in theater means you have resilience. With military applications, some objects are quite specialized. 3D printing will drive cost down. It will become quicker to try something, fail, and try again. The Ministry of Defense confirmed it was conducting its research with defense suppliers. But for Professor Cronin, 3D printing is set to transform all of British industry. Looking ahead to post-Brexit Britain, our manufacturing future will rest with high-value products because we just cannot compete with low-cost economies, he said. The UK has been at the forefront of digital creative technology, to make matter, to make drugs and aeroplanes. We're known for our creative approaches to technology. This type of approach will lead to the creation of many thousands of skilled material design jobs, making new materials for 3D printers, developing its languages. 3D printing in the UK will do for manufacturing what the BBC microcomputer did for software development.